In today's video, I'm going to be sharing why the top CEOs, business people, athletes, and greatest minds of all time all use this one tool called visualization and how you can use it to manifest whatever you want in your life incredibly quickly. So first things first, if you're new here, my name is Christopher. Welcome back to my channel. I am an entrepreneur. I've been one since I was around the age of 20, made my first million by 25, and now I teach the mindset strategies, money strategies, and manifestation strategies that I used to help me find success so you can avoid the mistakes and all the hard knocks that I had to along the way. With that in mind, first things first, let's talk, what is visualization? So I first want to talk about imagination. Imagination is, I like to think of it as God's gift. I'm not a religious person, but you might hear me in my videos reference different theologies. And in the Christian faith, they say that we're made in the image of God. Now, personally, my interpretation and the interpretation some of my teachers have shared with me as well is that that's not that God is like this mighty man in the sky, more so that we as human beings have within us that power of God, the power of creation. And a way I like to think about it is, we're way different than animals, most animals. A dog can't think of cookies and then materialize or create cookies. But Steve Jobs and other people have created things like the iPhone, or people who created this camera that I'm using right now to film this video. That came from a human's ability to imagine something first, and then through the power of visualization and inspired action, bring it to life. We're going to talk more about that in a second. So first things first, visualization at its core is imagination. And the key with imagination is that it allows us to create something called mental pictures. So the craziest thing is that you can imagine something that happened years ago. Maybe it was a troubling event that pissed you off, or it was something really incredible that happened in your life. And you can close your eyes and you can actually put yourself back in that place. And the craziest thing about it is that it actually allows you to not only re-visualize and almost relive that experience, but to feel the emotions that that experience brought. And that's really the key thing. And we're going to talk about that here in just a sec. So visualization is basically using imagination, which is using mental pictures combined with emotion to mentally rehearse something that you'd like to have happen. Now, the thing is visualization can also be used to create chaos in our lives. The thing is, if you hear, I think it's Job from the Bible, it's a story of a guy who, the lesson of the parable is his greatest fears have come to pass. And it's this idea that if we use our imagination to put, images of fear into our mind, or negative experiences that may have happened or may happen, if we continue to visualize them, we will then create more of those things in our life. So we want to take the power back. And the thing with our mind, we'll talk about actually the subconscious mind right now. So our mind has these two different sections. You have the conscious mind, and then you have the subconscious mind. So when you imagine something, you're placing a mental image into the conscious mind. The thing is in order to imprint it into the subconscious mind, we need emotion. Okay? So emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what I'm using to talk to you right now. The subconscious mind stores all of our programming. So all of our belief systems, our conditioning, past experiences, all that stuff. So with that in mind, visualization, the reason why it works, whether positive or negative, depending on how you use it, is you're using your conscious mind to create images, and usually those images then create an emotion. So I'm actually going to adjust my camera real quick. So those images, like I mentioned, they create an emotion. So those emotions then go into the subconscious mind, and it acts like two things. It acts like a GPS, which we'll talk about, or like a printing press. So let me explain. So you've seen those, I'll start with the printing press. You've seen those 3D printing presses before. Like somebody creates these objects with this printing press. That's kind of how our mind works, except it doesn't print things out. It kind of materializes through circumstances in our life. So an example, I'll actually give a personal example. The first time I heard about visualization and this idea of manifestation was from a guy named Brian Tracy. And he mentioned, the law of attraction is real. If you just picture things in your mind and you believe in them, they're going to come to pass. So what did I do? Well, it was it was Thanksgiving, I think back in 2015. I just barely started driving. And I remember I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we were going to a really busy Nike outlet on Black Friday. And I was like, okay, Brian Tracy said I can visualize and make shit happen, so I'm going to give it a try. So I told her, I said, listen, this is what's going to happen. So there's a lesson in this story. So listen to how I patterned this. So I said, this is what's going to happen. We're going to pull into the Nike outlet, and there's going to be a red car in the front row that backs out, and I'm going to pull in. And this was days before. So days leading up to it, I was visualizing that, okay, I can imagine myself driving my truck at the time. I pull into the Nike parking lot. Bam, there's a red car. It backs out, and I drive in. Well, guess what happened? On Black Friday day, I'm literally not shitting you. It's a crazy thing. I drive in, and there it is, that red car backing out, and I take the spot, and we both just looked at each other and were like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this is crazy. So that's kind of in a way how this idea of printing press works, is that you basically, through putting mental pictures in your conscious mind, give instructions to your subconscious mind to pull into your reality, into your life, the people, the circumstances, the opportunities, or to give you kind of the intuitive pings to take actions that would then lead to the outcome that you've previously visualized, right? This idea of visualization is that it's mental rehearsal, except you're doing it with things that haven't actually happened yet. But the beautiful thing is that your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. If you imagine something, your nervous system and your subconscious mind picture that or experience it as real, whether it's happening in your reality or not. So most people, through worry, use that to their disadvantage. They think of things they don't want to have happen, or they dwell on negative things that have happened. And so what are the instructions they're giving to their printing press, to their subconscious mind? Well, they're incredibly negative. And then we have this idea of this GPS. So I want you to imagine, I'm going to draw a really shitty car, okay? So here's my little car. So we're going to go on a little road trip. This is the worst car you've ever seen, I promise. So here's my little car, little doors, I don't even know. Here's the windshield. Okay, so we have this little car here, and we're going to go on a trip. So when we visualize, as I mentioned earlier, that's like giving your subconscious mind instructions. You're telling it, when you visualize with emotion, this is what I want to create using this God-given gift of imagination. So with our little car, we want to go on a trip. So how do most people use this God-given gift, let's say, imagination and visualization? Well, number one, they don't know what they want. So they don't really have clear instructions to give their subconscious mind. So they usually fall back to like their default programming and conditioning, which is most of the time negative. I like to think about it is we either live a life by design, using our God-given creative gifts, or we live a life by default, which is where we fall back to whatever default conditioning we were given growing up. And for most of us, myself included, that's not exactly a positive thing. I grew up around some poverty, drug abuse, lots of just like generational curses that I didn't want to reenact myself or experience, or now that I'm having a kid, I don't want to pass it along to my child. So that's why this work is so important, is to take this gift of imagination and use our car, right, or this trip that we're taking, and give our GPS, aka our subconscious mind, the correct instruction. So if you don't know what you want, you're going to fall back to the default, which is negative. But then most people, they say vague things when they finally figure out what they want. Well, I want to make more money. I want to be happier. I want to be in better shape. I'll just see if I can draw like a little bicep there. I'm a terrible artist. It's okay. So most people have vague ideas of what they want, but that's like me getting in my car and telling Maps, hey Siri, I need you to take me to South America. Well, that's really cool, but where in South America? Do you want to go to, I don't really know South America. Okay. I don't really know South America that well, so I'm actually going to change my example. Well, that's not true. Let's say I want to go to Chile. Okay, where in Chile do you want to go? Well, what city? What specific street? What specific building? That's the amount of clarity we need to have when we're visualizing, so we can give our subconscious mind very, very direct instructions instead of just taking us to some general or abstract place. The more concrete you can make what you're visualizing, the more likely it is to come to fruition. So I forgot to mention earlier, got on a little tangent, but Einstein has two really powerful quotes. And Einstein, if you're not familiar, it's Albert Einstein. He was considered a genius of his time in the 1900s before he passed away later. And, mathematician, had a bunch of other cool shit that he did. But the thing is a lot of people don't know that Einstein was very into metaphysics, into more of spiritual and kind of non-traditional education methods and, ideologies. But that's just part of, being an intelligent person. I feel we all want to think outside the box and kind of explore what is this place and how does it work? And he was no different. So Einstein has two quotes. He says, imagination is the preview of your life's or coming life attractions, or your life's coming attractions, or something like that. And it's this idea that whatever we put into our imagination, aka the mental pictures, aka whatever we visualize, we're giving our mind instructions to then print into our reality, or to, as like a GPS would, take us to that route or that destination. So whatever you imagine, you're kind of giving yourself a clue of whatever's coming next in your life. We can't control the timeline, so it might be tomorrow, it might be next month, it might be 10 years from now. It depends, it depends how often you're visualizing and the strength of that visualization, which is used or created through emotion, which I'll talk about in a second. So Einstein had that quote. And then Einstein's other quote was, knowledge is important, but imagination is more important, or something like that. I'm happy to throw them up on the screen or share them in the comments. So if one of the most intellectual, brainiac-based people in the world at that time had several different quotes about, manifestation and imagination, I'm pretty sure he knew what he was talking about. So let's hurry and pivot real quick. Let's actually talk a little bit about why you need a vision. And that's really the key to visualization, is having a clear vision. So first things first, I actually want to talk about one of the people I like to listen to, Andy Frisella. So Andy Frisella, he's kind of more of like a brass tacks, no bullshit guy, if you've ever listened to him before. And he's like, look, back in like 2005, I heard about this mindset, manifestation, law of attraction shit. And he's like, and honestly, I didn't believe it, but I was so committed to becoming successful, I figured, what the fuck? What could it hurt? I'll give it a try. So Andy Frisella had a couple things going on. He was driving like a 2004 Dodge truck at the time. And he had an employee shortly around this time period who was a designer. So he told the designer, hey, can you create a little icon on my desktop, like maybe for one of his programs or something, and put a picture of a white Lamborghini on it. Again, I'm not an artist, so I am an artist. I'm not a drawer. And so I'm going to draw a really shitty little car on this little icon. So Andy back then has this little icon on his desktop of a white Lamborghini. And he goes on to talk about how he created a vision board and kind of this like swipe file full of exotic cars that he wanted. And he would picture himself over and over again driving up to his private jet in his white Lamborghini, getting out, seeing the jet out the left side window, walking up the stairs, feeling the railing. What's it smell like in the jet? What's it look like in the jet? How does he feel? And he would picture that all the time before he had any reason to. He wasn't the Andy Frisella he was today. He's just a regular dude driving a Dodge Ram who had a semi-successful business at that time. Well, what happens now, fast forward 10, 20 years later, there came a time when Andy Frisella is like, dude, I literally have the same white Lamborghini that I had on the desktop that I forgot about back in 2005 to 2010, and I don't even fly commercial anymore. I fly in private jets. So just all that to say, even someone who doesn't believe in these things, you don't have to. It doesn't mean they don't work. It's like saying, I don't believe in the law of gravity. Go jump off your roof. I don't actually do that, but I promise you, whether you believe in the law of gravity or not, you're going to hit the ground hard as shit. It's not going to feel good, and you could potentially die. So don't do that. But Andy Frisella is a great example of somebody who's used this to create material success and internal success, which is that fulfillment, that purpose, everything in between. And so I've talked a little bit about what visualization is. I've talked about why it's important. Now I want to teach you actually how to visualize, and more specifically, how to use a vision to visualize the things that you want and have clarity, complete clarity on what they are so you can manifest them faster than ever. So I want you to look at this little chart here. The thing with visualization is that, or any manifestation technique, or any really technique or way that we, channel and use our God-given gift of imagination, is you've got to remember that the whole universe operates on energy, vibration, and frequency, okay? So everything is energy. You are, I am, the camera is. There's technically no such thing as matter. It's just what's the vibrational rate of what we're looking at. Things that are more solid, like this marker, have a more low vibration, which creates more of a dense feel to them. But if you were to look at them, I don't know what the tool is, but when they, I guess, study these things, everything is just energy, moving at different speeds. And speed of energy is known as vibration, and the rate of vibration is known as frequency. So you yourself have a vibration, and most people, they have no vision. So it's almost like they're flatlining, because again, the default, at least for us humans nowadays, unfortunately, is pretty negative. So at the very least, if you don't have a vision, you have nothing really to excite you or to pump you up or to move you forward. You're kind of flatlining, right? And it's that idea, if you're not growing, you're dying. I really think that's true. And if you look at the laws of the universe, things tend towards order or they tend towards chaos. There's never a pause. It's constant change and evolution in either direction. And we get to choose what direction we're on that pendulum, depending on if we're using our God-given gifts appropriately and for positive things. So the average vibration and frequency of somebody is what I like to think of as low and slow. If you think about the world nowadays, the media and everything else in the world is pretty negative, and it's based around the lower vibrational emotions: shame, anger, lust, hatred, what else? Guilt. There's all sorts, right? And that kind of keeps you in this low vibrational state, which means the things that you create and attract also will match that low vibrational state. And life is more challenging. Things don't really work out as well as they could compared to if you're in a high vibrational state. Optimism, gratitude, love, authenticity. Well, guess what? Things start to work really, really fast. And it's almost like miraculous, honestly. And I think that's why, great spiritual teachers and minds throughout all time, Buddha, Jesus Christ, all these different people, they preached about love. Not only because it's important that we connect to one another, right? My brothers and my sisters watching this, but also because love is such a high vibrational emotion. And when we live from that place of gratitude, love, and authenticity, life is a hell of a lot better. It's like heaven on earth. So if most people are operating on a low and a slow frequency, what happens, this is before, right? Before you have a vision, before you begin visualizing, you have a low frequency. Hopefully you guys can see this. After, you have a high and fast frequency. So down here, it's like a flat line. Then you have kind of this little, up and down, just low and slow. Up here, high and fast, it's fucking going, right? Like your frequency and vibration are going to be incredibly high when you actually have a vision and something to visualize. And the trick is to get from this place, this low vibrational place, to this more high vibrational place. We need to do inner work, which is aka mindset work, right? Working through our conditioning, reprogramming our subconscious mind, tapping into higher states of emotion, and really just taking control as the conscious creator in our life. And then we have outer work. So inner work is mindset. Outer work is all about action. And furthermore, it's inspired action. And here's why. I mentioned earlier that your vision, or what you visualize, is like the address that you give to maps or your GPS to take you somewhere. Well, what do you think happens when you have a clear vision? You know exactly where you're going. Life is going to, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, life is going to go out of its way to support you because you have clarity on what you want and you're reaffirming that to your mind, the most powerful gift and tool that we have at our disposal. And when you do that, it's going to start to attract the circumstances, the people, I talked about this, the opportunities, and also place you on the vibration of that destination that you're looking to go to. So for Andy Frisella, when he's broke, making like $700 a month in his business, driving a Dodge Ram, but he's mentally picturing himself in a Lamborghini, driving up to a private jet, feeling stoked, what do you think that did to his vibration, right? Down here, he's stuck in like struggle and poverty and lack. And up here, he's tapped into abundance, gratitude, excitement, joy, so on and so forth. He's raising his vibration to match this new reality. And sure as shit, guess what happens? It didn't happen overnight, but it happened pretty fast. Like think about if you knew you could guarantee in 5 or 10 years, you are completely financially free. You're living a life by design, not by default. You have everything you want. You're the person you want to be. You're living the lifestyle that really suits you. This is the secret. And so I want to just quickly talk about what is a vision. A vision to me is kind of like the big picture of our life. Napoleon Hill likes to call it a burning desire. You've heard of other people say something similar. It's kind of like a goal, right? Except it's less concrete, meaning it's not like a goal is more broken down of like, I'm going to accomplish this thing by this time by doing these things. That's a goal. A vision is more, it paints the mental and like tangible picture of what the things look, taste, feel, smell like, so on and so forth, at this end location that you're wanting to manifest and create for yourself. And so to create a vision, it's pretty simple. You want to take a second and just picture, what is the life that I'm living at this future destination? Let's say 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? You're like, okay, what is the life that I'm living? Who am I? How am I showing up? What kind of person am I? What kind of man or woman am I? And then lastly, how do I feel? That's the most important part. So an example, Bob Proctor had this, this little framework, right? Where he would tell his clients, I want you to take your desire, whatever it is, and you're going to say, I am so happy and grateful now that desire. So his clients would say, man, I am so happy and grateful now that my business does $1 million per year. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm driving a Lamborghini and flying a private jet or flying in a private jet or whatever. So that was Bob Proctor's way. I think that's amazing. I personally like to take that a step further and really paint more of a picture. So it's not only about the outcome or the achievement, but it's also about the person you are and the life you're living along the way. So an example would be like, man, this year I am a skilled and highly passionate entrepreneur, creator, and investor. I'm earning $40,000 per month. I love traveling with my girlfriend. I'm raising, a beautiful family. We have our homestead. Like, I'm really painting this picture. So when I read this little paragraph, I can really describe to myself, to God, the universe, my subconscious mind, this is what I want. And it's in my words using the emotions that I would feel. And so whenever I say that or tap into it, or the same thing with my clients, we put ourselves in that future destination. We match the vibration of that, end state. As Neville Goddard said, you want to live from the end. Put yourself, assume that that's your new reality, and that's what's going to become your reality. Okay, I think I've rambled long enough. Down in the description, I have a planning and goal setting guide, and a big part of that is the vision. That's actually where we start. You can grab a free copy of that below. I'd love to have you give this a try. Let me know your thoughts. I kind of just went on a tangent today. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know what you took away. Again, the goal is to raise our vibration, raise our consciousness to match this new identity, who we're becoming, this new desire, the things that we want, and these new actions, the way we show up in our life, the habits and the inspired actions that we take to bring these things to life. So again, the formula for visualizing is you want to create mental pictures and combine them with emotion, and then do the work to improve your mindset and take inspired action. If you're doing those things, so you're visualizing with emotion, I'm just going to give a little checkbox. You're visualizing with emotion, and then you're working on your belief system and your mindset, your level of belief, your attitude, these different things. Plus, you're taking that inspired action that aligns with and matches the things that life's bringing you. So, life presents an opportunity. You jump into it. You give it your all. You're going to manifest the things that you want faster than ever. Hopefully this helps. Much love, my friend. I'll see you in the next one.